Hi guys, this is Stormouse03, and this is my guide to the Only Good Guys Get Medals achievement and trophy in Resident Evil Revelations 2. And so this is for getting all of the medals in episode 1, and I'm going to be showing you how to do that. So I'm going to be going through the medals in Claire's episode first, and so we're going to take a look at those right now. They are knock down an enemy 5 times by blinding them with the light, then hitting them with a physical attack. Defeat 8 enemies with rotating blades. Stun 10 enemies with Moira's light. Defeat 8 enemies with sub-weapons. Defeat 3 enemies using the stealth attack. Defeat 8 enemies with a headshot. Find 3 treasures. Kill 10 giant whip spiders. Open 3 military boxes. And find 6 hidden items with Moira. So you do not need to do all of these at once. In fact, I would recommend that you don't try to, because you're not going to have enough enemies, I don't think, to do all of these in one go. But you do need to fulfill the requirement for each individual medal in one run, so you can't say defeat 4 enemies with rotating blades in one run and then another 4 in another run and have that count. You have to do them all during the same run. So let's start at the beginning of the list here, and I'm going to show you the best way, I believe, to get all of these taken care of. So first we have knock down an enemy 5 times by stunning them with the light, and then hitting them with a physical attack. So what you want to do is hit them with the light with Moira, then switch to Claire, and knock them down and finish them off. To be safe, I would not count instances like I'm going to show you right now, where I stun them with the light, and then the AI is already in the attack move before I switch back. And so I would not count that, just to be safe. You want to make sure that you are physically doing all the actions. Do that 5 times, and that should be your medal. The next medal I'm going to show you is finding 6 hidden items with Moira. It starts in this room, and you just use the flashlight like it tells you in the tutorial to identify the shiny object and then pick it up. Do that 6 times within the level, and you will have that medal. Very easy. Next is to find 3 hidden treasures. There will always be a sapphire on the ceiling when you get upstairs into the area with all of the prison rooms. And so that will be 1. And you need to just find 2 other hidden gems, either by shining the light on them with Moira or finding them in drawers or boxes or things. Again, very easy to do as long as you're searching the level. Okay, so next is the first of the 3 military boxes that you need to open with Moira. When you get to this section where you hoist her up, there will be the first crate to your right as you go through the door. And the way that you open these is just to follow the instructions and make sure that the dot stays yellow the entire time that you are opening it. And so that will be your first military box that you open. Next, once you get upstairs, when you get into this sort of big middle room, there's going to be an exploding bottle over here on the shelf to the right. You need to make sure to pick that up because you're going to need that, because that's the sub-weapon you're going to need to kill 8 enemies with to get that particular medal. So you want to make sure to pick that up. And then also in the same room, over to the left, is the second military box that you open with Moira. So you do the same little mini game thing with that to unlock it, and that will be your second military crate. Moving on, when you get downstairs from that room with the military crate and the exploding bottle, you want to turn off your flashlight with Moira, and with Claire you want to crouch and sneak up behind these 3 enemies and kill them with a stealth attack. Get the iron head first and then take the other 2 out as you see me do. That will take care of that medal. And then I suggest on a second run focusing on killing the 8 enemies with the rotating blades and using these 3 guys, leave them alive, and when you turn on the rotating blades they will get killed by them. You also want to leave the guys upstairs alive as well, so that you can lure them down into the blades, and that will count as another 3 or 4 enemies into the spinning blades. In the room next door is your second exploding bottle, and we're going to use those right now. So when you get to the room that you open with the rusty key, there's going to be a bunch of these whip-tail spiders that are going to be down in this, I guess it's like a trash compactor area. And so what you want to do is jump down here and kind of run around the area and try to herd them into clumps. And once you get a good group of 4 or 5 of them, then you want to throw an exploding bottle, and you want to do that a couple of times, and that will be your kill 8 enemies using sub-weapons. And so you can do that medal a couple of different ways. I just think this one is the easiest because you have a bunch of these enemies all together, and they are pretty easily taken out by one exploding bottle. You don't have to worry about having it upgraded very much at all. So, just like I said, run around, and eventually they will cluster together. Sometimes they take a little bit to actually show up and cluster the way that you want them to, but they will do it, and if you can get 4 or 5 of them each time, that will be your medal done. Okay, so another opportunity to kill an enemy in the spinning blades is when you first turn them on with Moira up here. You can use this spinning blade to kill the guy that jumps out of the room in front of you. So you probably want to wait for a minute and let the rotating blades get a little bit closer to you, because the light does not stun the enemy for very long. So you wait, you let them get a little closer, and then you try to lure him over to where you are, hopefully not getting hit in the process. And then if you shine the light on him to stun him, he will get chopped up in the spinning blades. Also want to mention that in the area where I just exploded all of the spiders with these exploding bottles, you also want to make sure that you kill 10 of those. So if you aren't quite sure that you blew 10 of them up with the bottle, then you want to make sure that you kill a couple more, either before Moira goes into the room or in the section as you're leaving. So I would do it before, actually, just to be safe. But you just want to make sure that you've killed 10 of those, and that will be another medal done. Okay, so talking about 8 enemies defeated by knocking them into the spinning blades or luring them into the spinning blades. As I said before, you probably want to do that on a separate run so that you can run past all of the enemies upstairs. You can run past all of the enemies in the room with the spinning blades, and you can kill the 3 of them, potentially the 1 guy in the room where you turn on the spinning blades. That would be 4. And then there are a good 3 or 4 upstairs that you can lure down into the spinning blades as well. Then when you get back into the room where you want to put the cog in, if you still need a few enemies, you can lure these guys that have spawned in the middle of the control room area into the spinning blades. If you need some more, you can also work on some headshots if you need those, and clean up any of those last kills that you need in those specific ways for those medals. The good thing about this area is that once you have put the cog in, you will get another spawn of enemies, and there will be another rotating blade in the room where the flaming bust is. So if you don't use the flaming bust, you can lure some enemies and knock them back into those blades if you want to. If you need a last little few enemies killed, Here is also an area where you can use the exploding bottles to kill some enemies. As I said, I think it's just easier to do that in the room with the spiders because it's guaranteed that they're going to die from that explosion, whereas some of these enemies may not die from the explosion of the bottles. So you could do it here as well, but you just want to be... If you want to be safe, I would do it in the room with the spiders. You can also save up exploding bottles through multiple playthroughs, and so you could end up with more than 2, potentially, and in that case, you could use them wherever there are a cluster of enemies that you'd want to use them on. So, if you do not use the flaming bust, I did use it here, but if you don't use it, you can also wait for the enemies to spawn. I believe they spawn infinitely, although there may be a certain number of them, but there are definitely quite a lot, and you can use those to farm any last headshots that you need for the 8 headshots medal, or if you need some more stuns with the flashlight, you can use that for your 10 stuns with the flashlight with Moira as well. That's just in case you need any more of those things, because you probably will get those as you move through the levels. But an FYI, just in case you do need to finish up any of the kills for knock down an enemy 5 times by blinding them with the light and then hitting them with a physical attack, defeating 8 enemies with the rotating blades, stunning 10 enemies with Moira's light, potentially defeating 8 enemies with sub-weapons, you could potentially get some more kills there, defeating 8 enemies with a headshot. Any of those things you can finish up by getting some of those guys that continuously spawn after Moira is trying to open the door. So that is pretty much it for this level, except for the third of the 3 military crates that you need to open with Moira. That is to the left right before the bridge that you will cross at the end of the level. And again, you just do the same thing that you did with the other crates. You do the little thing where you make sure that the circle stays yellow as you are unlocking it, and as long as it does, it will open, and that will be the third of your 3 military boxes. And so that is all of the medals on the Claire sequence. And as I said, you don't need to do them all in one go. You probably could do it just with being able to farm those last guys, but I would honestly suggest doing a couple different runs. Especially, it's going to make your life a lot easier if you can get those 3 guys that you got with the stealth. If you can get them as 3 of your rotating blade kills, that will make your life a lot easier for that particular medal. So that is all of them, and that should be Claire's episode done. So we will move on to Barry's episode 1. Alright guys, so we are going to be getting all of the medals in Barry's episode 1, and those medals are: defeat 5 Revenant by only hitting their weak spots, don't fire a gun in the detention center control area, hit enemies with Natalia's brick 15 times, defeat 2 enemies with a follow-up attack, defeat 8 enemies with sub-weapons, defeat 6 enemies using stealth attacks, defeat 6 enemies with the knife, open 2 gimmick boxes, find 6 hidden items with Natalia, and escape the darkness of the forest starting from the detour hut within 40 seconds. Again, you will not be able to do all of these in one go. Particularly, you will not be able to open the 2 gimmick boxes and escape the darkness of the forest in 40 seconds because one of the boxes is in the forest, so you won't be able to do both of those things at once. So we're going to start off with defeating 6 enemies with the knife. At the very beginning of the level, you will start to encounter some more giant spiders, and those are the perfect enemies to get your 6 knife kills on straight out of the gate. So I believe there will be several more than 6 of them, so you should be able to knock all of those out right here at the beginning of the level and go ahead and take care of that medal. There will be the sticks stealth kills, but those do not count for knife kills as well. So the stealth kills are separate from the knife kills, and so you just want to make sure that you take that into account and don't think that you're going to be able to get both of those medals with the same kills. You can get both of them in the same playthrough, but you will not be able to get them on the same enemies. So go ahead and use these spiders that are spawning here at the beginning of the level, in the area outside of the detention facility, and knock out your 6 knife kills. Okay, so next up I'm going to show you a couple of good spots to get some of your 8 kills with the sub-weapons. You're not going to see me actually do this right here in this footage, but this is a good room to get 3 or 4 kills with a sub-weapon. You want to play through and save some of your exploding or fire bottles and carry them over into your next playthrough, and then you will have one to be able to use in this room. And if you just herd these 4 enemies and try to get them clustered together, you can usually get 3 or 4 of them with an exploding bottle, and that will be at least 3, maybe 4 of your kills with the sub-weapons that you need. Moving on, in this section you'll be able to start using Natalia to point out hidden objects. You just need to do this and pick up the object 6 times in order to get that medal, similar to the one where you had to use Moira's flashlight in the first part. And that should be that medal taken care of. Again, it's pretty easy. So when you take control of Barry, I'm going to show you how to get your 6 stealth kills. The first one is on this guy sitting right here, and then you want to go around the corner and get all 3 of the guys around the corner. And so to do that, you want to get the guy who is pacing back and forth first, and if you kill him first, then you will be able to kill the other 2 as well. And so that will be 4 out of the 6 of the stealth kills that you need. Just to note that on a separate playthrough, those 3 guys around the corner are 3 really good enemies to kill with 1 exploding or fire bottle, to get another 3 of your kills with a sub-weapon for that particular medal. But right now we're doing stealth on this run, and so when you go upstairs, you'll be able to get the guy at the top of the stairs, and then as long as the guy that's pacing in the room next door to the right, it doesn't see you through the window, so you want to be careful and make sure that he isn't next to the window when you're walking over. But as long as he's not there and doesn't see you, he'll be turned around and you can get your last stealth kill on him. And that will be your 6 stealth kills done. You may have to do that a couple of times because that guy in the last room likes to be uncooperative, but that should be the place where you get those 6 stealth kills. Next, I just wanted to show you a spot where you will get your first kill or your first hit with a brick with Natalia. It's where she crawls through and has to hit that enemy with the brick there. That will be your first of 15 hits with a brick for that medal. And then as you're moving through the detention facility, you'll have these other bricks to pick up, and then you just want to toss them at the zombies, and you will be able to knock them down, stun them, do all of that good stuff. And it will also allow you to do 2 of those follow-up attacks for the other medal that you need. Now when you get into this control center area, you want to make sure that you do not fire your weapon while you are in this area, and that will be that medal done. There is also the gimmick box, the first gimmick box, in the control room that you unlock with Natalia, the same way that you unlocked the military boxes with Moira. And again, you just want to make sure that you don't fire your weapon in that control center area in order to get that other gold medal. Okay, so once you reach this section in the level, you will start seeing the Revenant enemies, and there is a medal for killing 5 of them by hitting only their weak spot. To do that, you need to switch to Natalia to find where their weak spot is, and then kill them by shooting them only in that spot. if you hit them in any other area, their other limbs will turn black and you'll know that you did not do it. Also, I believe that if they grab you and you have to knock them off of you, or if Natalia throws a brick at them in a different area, that will negate the medal. So you have to hit 5 of them perfectly only in that weak spot, and that will be that medal. There are more of them later on in the level. This is just the first one that you can do. Now, on to the next medal that I believe is the most challenging one in this entire episode. Once you go through that door and start running in the forest, you will reach a checkpoint. And at that checkpoint is the start of your 40 seconds that you have to get through this entire forest area and through the next door. And it is very, very tight, and it took me several tries. And so what you want to do is restart. If anything happens to you, you probably want to restart anyway, just so that you can get your timing exact. And when you restart, start timing yourself. Keep a clock next by, or if you have a friend who can time you with a stopwatch, that will be very helpful. And make sure that you run sort of similar to the path that you see me running now. If an enemy looks like it's getting close to hitting you, you want to hit B to evade and push yourself forward. If you get hit by an enemy, if you get stuck on an object, if you lose your way a little bit, if you get grabbed for certain, you will not make it. And so you just hit retry, and you can retry as many times as you want to, but once you are pretty confident that you've made it in 39 seconds or less, then you can go ahead and go on through the door, and that will be, I think, the hardest medal in this level down. Another tip for doing that section is to turn the brightness up on your game. I did that, that's why it looks a little washed out there, but that's just so you can see where you are going, because that forest is difficult to navigate at the best of times. So that's just another little tip to help you do that very frustrating medal, in my opinion. Okay, so on a second playthrough of this level, because you will not be able to do this at the same time as what we did just before getting through the forest, you are going to look around this area where there's that pile of junk. Near that area will be, you'll start to see some feed, and you'll be able to walk around some trees and stuff, and as long as you're sort of following the path, you should be able to see the second gimmick box that will be hidden within this forest level. And if you're doing this on a second run, you can kill the revenants in this area, and that will make it much more pleasant for you. You can also use those revenants to help you be able to work toward the 5 that you hit only in their weak spot. I obviously wasn't doing that on this run, but those are, you know, fair game for being part of the 5 that you are going to hit only in their weak spot. And so once you see the gimmick box, it's toward the end of the forest path near where you will exit over on the left, and you open that up, and that is the second of the 2 gimmick boxes in this level, and so that should be a medal down for you. And rejoice in the fact that you don't have to go through the forest in any particular way this time, because man, was that ever irritating. Okay, so in the next area after the forest, you will be able to pick up a fire bottle and have the opportunity to hit 2 of the revenants with that. So if you need a couple more sub-weapon kills, this is a really good spot to do that. Otherwise, you can also use these as 2 of your revenants that you're only going to hit in their weak spots if you don't need any more sub-weapon kills on the particular run that you're doing. And in the last area, there are some more revenants that you can kill. You'll see that I was working on knocking off its saw arm on this particular playthrough that you see the footage from here, but I'm just telling you, there's 5 revenants in this area, so if you are not sure that you have gotten 5 of them all in their weak spots as you've played through the level, you can use these 5 to get that particular medal done in just this last section if you need to. So there will be 2 that come out when you go and check the chain on the door, and there will be 1 around the corner that is near the spot where you go and turn on the power, and then there will be 2 more in the rooms of the building that you go through toward the end of the level as you're going to the spot where you move the logs. And so those 5 are there if you need to get any more of those 5 kills by only hitting them in the weak spot. And again, you do that by switching to Natalia, finding their weak spot, making sure you know which limb it's on, and then shooting them only in that spot. You can also use this area to farm out a few more brick hits. So if you haven't hit 15 enemies with a brick yet, there are bricks scattered throughout this level, and you can use them to pick up and throw at the Revenants. You'll get to throw them 2 or 3 times, usually about twice was the number of times that I was able to hit them with the bricks before the bricks broke. But there are several bricks scattered throughout the area. I would say at least 5 of them. And so that's a good 10 hits that you can farm in this area if you need to, if you need a few extra brick hits for that particular medal. So that is pretty much everything, guys. Again, you probably want to do a couple of different playthroughs because you want to probably use some of those areas where you saw me do the stealth attacks to get some of the sub-weapon kills. You will definitely have to go through the forest area twice to be able to get the 40 seconds medal and the second gimmick box. So don't worry about getting everything your first time through. Just concentrate on getting as many of the easy ones cleaned up as you can, I would say, during your first run. And then on the second run, focus on anything else that you missed and doing the escape from the forest within 40 seconds. So that is it, guys. I hope that it was helpful for you in getting all of the medals. I think that this is one of the more difficult achievements or trophies on this first episode. And I will be doing some more guides for some more of the achievements on this episode, and definitely some more guides for the medals on episodes 2, 3, and 4 when those are released. So look forward to those, and thanks for watching. Hope that it was helpful.